What is going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Roach Podcast, where sports and truth collide. Now, you're saying, Mike, welcome back. What are you kidding me? Where the hell have you been? So, first of all, folks, for those who have been listening and following me over the years, this is the first time I have been away from the microphone for this long. It's probably been about almost 2 months. The last time I released anything was on November the 4th. And at that time, I was explaining to people that I feel like doing something a little bit different, typically to what I'm accustomed to. And so I was explaining to people that I'm going to be speaking about other things. And typically, I don't do this on YouTube. I typically just do this for Spotify and for Apple. But now I'm going to be making YouTube videos because I find that's a lot of people say they want to watch me instead of just being able to listen to me. So, okay, that's fine. I'll do that. I got no issues doing that. But to be completely honest with you, I wouldn't say I was necessarily fighting discouragement because things aren't going the way that I want them to go. I mean, that's probably a part of it because the passion for me in regards to doing podcasting has never left. But I do want to switch up some of the things that I'm actually talking about. That's the main thing for me. Just talking about basketball wasn't necessarily doing it for me. And so I took some time to just step back and figure out what I want to do and some of the things that I actually want to talk about alongside basketball as well. Politics being one of them, culture being one of them as well, and just other things that are important going on in the world right now. And so I got kind of lost in the shuffle a bit in regards to why I was doing this podcast in the first place. And that's something I've never really struggled with before, that I felt myself starting to struggle with now. Why am I doing this? It's never, ever been about money. I've been paid a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I've never really been paid aside from for a few years of doing stuff. But it's never been about that. It's always been about, I just enjoy doing this. I enjoy being truthful with people when it comes to talking about sports. And now that's going to be other things as well. And when I sat back for this last, month and 3 weeks, and I kind of just looked at people who were doing podcasts, especially in Canada, talking about sports and other things, you see how evident it is that so many people are afraid to say what they really want to say. And so many people regurgitate the same garbage over and over and over again. And I was sitting back watching and I was saying, okay, Mike, you really do have to do this just because I want there to be a different type of flavor that's there along from the status quo that we're used to seeing, especially in Canada, because everybody is so afraid of losing whatever gig they have or whatever job they have by really saying what they want to say. So it's to me, it's just a mess. And at some point, when is that culture going to change in this country? I'm not sure it ever will in regards to sports because people are so afraid and the pickings are very slim in regards to wherever you want to work in the sports industry here. It's not like the US where you have a whole bunch of options. It's not the same here. And so that to me is why a lot of people don't really say what they want to say because they don't want to possibly lose their job by saying something crazy on a podcast or saying something crazy on Twitter or something and then find out that you don't have a job anymore. It's just a fact of the matter. And so I'm not really a person who has that fear too much. I don't really say anything crazy. I just tell you the truth. And if it happens to be crazy in your eyes, that doesn't mean it necessarily is. That may just be it is the truth and you don't like it. And for those who have been listening to me for a while, you pretty much know that I don't give a damn. So I'm going to drop a bomb for myself for being back building right now, damn it. And With that being said, I feel like I kind of lost myself a little bit with entitlement and feeling spoiled, like I actually deserve something. Which, for those who know me, I did a 27-part TikTok on myself, like a bio on myself, explaining just how I got into the sports industry and doing some stuff in broadcasting and podcasting and stuff like that. And first of all, I coached for about 10 or 12 years or something like that, in regards to high school basketball, different clubs, all different age groups, training, and all that kind of stuff with basketball. And so I played as well throughout high school. That's where the love of it came from. I played before high school as well. But that love turned into an internship for Sportsnet, ultimately doing some stuff in broadcasting for the Toronto Raptors and doing some other stuff along the years as well. But that's pretty much how it got started with my passion for basketball and sports. Go to my TikTok, the one Mike Roach, if you want to hear how I got started in this. But I feel like I got a little bit entitled along the way, like I deserve something. Nobody owes me a damn thing. So once you get back to reminding yourself of that, then it kind of clears your head a little bit to get back in the game and focus on what you need to be focused on in regards to how this industry works and why it matters to me so much. So a few things that I want to talk to you about. I don't want these podcasts to be too long. Okay. I want to talk about the state of the Toronto Raptors because the NBA is just something I love. Basketball in general, the state of Canada. What exactly is culture? Because things are changing so much in the world that we're living in right now, especially with the change of leadership that we're seeing in America with President elect Donald Trump and the new prime minister that we're about to see in Canada because Trudeau is on his way out. All right. And he's taking a beating on his way out as well. I mean, it's bad, pretty bad. It's just brutal. And so we're going to get in and touch on that a little bit. This is my first show back in a little bit. I don't want to do too much. I'll be coming at you with a few episodes. I don't want to promise as to what days and how many days as of yet. That is something I'll have to go over with myself and come back and tell you which days and stuff that's going to be. So I'll let you know that ASAP. And I've said that a couple times over these last couple months, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling back right now. I'm feeling juiced up. And so I'm just ready to get down and dirty and start getting straight to business. Okay. So the first thing that I want to touch to you on is the Toronto Raptors. Okay. Now, folks, you're going to have to brace yourself when it comes to the Toronto Raptors in the NBA at this point. I mean, you're 7-24. Okay. You're fifth in the Atlantic Division. You're not a good basketball team. You're just not a good basketball team at this point. And it's not necessarily just because the Raptors have bad players and that they're terrible. It's just that their guys have not been healthy in the lineup. I mean, you're 14th in the Eastern Conference, tied with the Charlotte Hornets. Raptors, as I mentioned, 7-24. The Charlotte Hornets, 7-23. And then you have the Washington Wizards, who are only 2 games back behind those two teams at 5-23. I mean, you're abysmal. You're abysmal at this point. And there's just no other way to put it. But RJ Barrett has missed games. Scotty Barnes has missed games. Like Emmanuel Quickly, we've only seen in 3 games this season. 3 games this season. They've played 31 games. Okay? And we've missed Kelly Olynyk. He's been in 8 games so far. Jacoby Walter, 16 games. Our starting 5, and Jakob Poeltl, by the way, has missed the last few games with an injury. Our starting 5 has not played together at all. At all. And there are actually good players on this team. Like Jakob Poeltl is giving you a double-double a game. RJ Barrett has improved, giving you 6.3 assists a game along with 23.7 points per game. Like these guys are no bums on this team. Okay? Now, it does look like for the remainder of the season, trust me, the Raptors are not going to be doing anything special. It's just not going to happen. Unfortunately, pretty much everybody in Toronto has already come to terms with that. They already know what it is, okay? The Raptors, I mean, it's about development at this point. That's really all it is. The Raptors are headed straight for the lottery. Now, who can you look at on this roster and say that they've actually improved? Now, if I go down the list here, can't really say it for Scotty Barnes because I just can't for him. He's still a very good player and he's doing his thing. I mean, 20 points a game, 7.8 rebounds again, 7.2 assists. Pretty much I knew Scotty Barnes is capable of this. He's a damn good player. I want to see what he can do as the season goes on. Grady Dick, I will say, has gotten better. He's played in 26 games this season, 32 minutes a game, 18 points a game. We're talking 3.4 rebounds, 2.2 assists, almost a steal a game. I'm going to drop a bomb for Grady Dick. Because, man, Grady Dick, and I've mentioned this multiple times before, when you're watching this guy, a lot of people were really upset about Grady Dick, talking about he's just going to be a one-trick pony when he gets into the NBA. We've all seen at this point that that's just false. That is just false. This man can get into the lane more now than he did in year one. He takes better shots. He's making them, first of all, creating shots for his teammates. I mean, Grady Dick is going to be a solid piece and a future piece for the Toronto Raptors going forward. Emmanuel Quickly, as I mentioned, we have not seen him at all. And I do find it quite suspicious that everybody seems like they've been pretty damn quiet when it comes to Emmanuel Quickly and this injury. I don't know what the hell the injury is because nobody talks about him anymore at this point. I don't even remember he plays on the team half the time, even though I love me some Emmanuel Quickly. And damn it, I like that extension that we gave him. But can we get more updates on him, please? Like, I know we've seen him talk at practice here and there. I do see him on the bench for the games here and there. But even when I'm in the stadium, I'm in the stadium for every Raptors home game. Damn it, I barely see him in there. Okay. Ochai Agbaji. He's improved. He's improved. 11.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and his shooting has been better. I will say that. His shooting has been better. I don't have any percentages here. That would probably be a good idea. But actually, no, I do have some shooting percentages here. Where Ochai Agbaji, let's see here. 3-point field goal percentage, 41.7% currently. And he's one of the players who have, honestly, from a defensive standpoint, he's pretty good. Offensively is really where I want to see him take the jump if he can. But I mean, how much can you when you're playing with other bunch of guys in the lineup that are the main focus? So, I mean, pretty much you just want to make him want him to make shots when he's open. I mean, are you kidding me? It doesn't have to get more complicated than that, folks. It really doesn't. And I'm not going to go on too much here because there's a bunch of podcasts where I'm going to have to follow up on a lot of these guys, but like Jonathan Mobo has been good. Jamal Shed has been good. 2 other rookies for the Toronto Raptors. And Davion Mitchell is another guy who we got in a trade who I like. 29 games he's played thus far. Where are you? Right here. 29 games, 6.6 points per game. He's averaged 2 rebounds, 5 assists. But defensively, he is a brute. Defensively, he is a brute. And to me, from what I've seen, he's physically tough too. Like Davion Mitchell, when it comes to the defensive end, honestly, he's one of the better defensive players in the league. That's facts. I'm telling you. I'm going to drop a bomb for his defense. He's one of the better defensive players in the league. I'm telling you. And one of the notable games that I realized when it came to Davion Mitchell is when we were playing against the Boston Celtics in Boston, and I saw him match up against Jaylen Brown, and just his physicality and how he was making Jaylen Brown very uncomfortable, bumping him off the block, and just the physicality driving to the basket. You can't just bully him like that, even though he's small. He is a bit of a bulldog, and that is something that I like to see with Davion Mitchell. And I would like to see that a little bit more in regards to physicality with some of the other players on this roster. So I will get into the Toronto Raptors a bit more as I get back into the podcasting, but I'm going to leave it there for now. But before I move on to the next topic, I do want to give a big shout out to the Raptors coaching staff, because the Raptors coaching staff has done a good job of keeping these players together. They've also done a really good job of, like I mentioned, getting them to improve on their game. Okay. Because sometimes you don't really notice a difference right at the beginning of the season when guys are suiting up. You kind of see it throughout the season, towards the end, maybe sometimes even midway through. But to see the improvement of RJ Barrett's not even a guy that I mentioned, of a guy like RJ Barrett going more to his right hand, looks more comfortable dribbling the ball. He's taking better shots. Grady Dick, as I mentioned as well, Ochai Agbaji, Davion Mitchell is a guy that we just got, but seeing what he's been able to do defensively, I didn't even mention a guy like Jamison Battle as well. But those guys who I just mentioned improve heavily from last season. And I'm excited to see what they're going to be doing going forward. But the Raptors have done a good job with their coaching staff, keeping guys together, keeping guys positive. In the stadium, they look happy, even though things aren't going the way that they necessarily want them to go. And the Raptors have been in a lot of games. They've been in a lot of games. They've lost a bunch of games by a small margin, but at least they're competing. They're not getting their ass kicked every single game. They're competing. They've got a lot of work to do, but it is what it is. A bunch of guys are not in the lineup, like I've mentioned. So we'll see what happens going forward, but it looks like they're going to be headed towards the lottery, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you can snag a top 5 pick in this draft to go along with the core of guys that you already have in the draft this year, I mean, come on, it's a deep draft. I like Ace Bailey. I mean, odds are you're not going to get the number 1 pick, which looks like it's going to be Cooper Flag. Ace Bailey is a very nice player. I like him a lot. It's been reported from Michael Grange from Sportsnet that the Raptors have been out there to watch Rutgers games, and to me, Bailey is the guy. I don't know. Things change a lot towards, in the NCAA season. We'll see how they perform, and we'll see what's going on in regards to that. But just overall, the Raptors getting a top 5 pick to add to the core of guys that they have right now would be very nice for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, we all know that. So a lot to come in the next few days, weeks, months, in regards to the Toronto Raptors and that trade deadline. Boy, is that something we're going to have to watch out for this season in regards to the Toronto Raptors and beyond. So moving on here, folks, something that also needs improvement is this country called Canada that we're living in. And Canada is in very hectic times right now. As we all know, the Canadian government is crumbling. And I mean crumbling right before our eyes. And at this point, it's a done deal that Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, is done. Tie a bow in it, put a fork in it, call it whatever the hell you want. He is done. He's finished. People in his cabinet are the finance minister, Chrystia Freeland. She's done, resigned. The housing minister resigned. MPs, liberal MPs, as much as 40 from his own party are looking for him to resign. I mean, it's just bad. He has completely lost control of this country. Canada is a laughing stock around the world. And at this point, it can't get any worse than this. I mean, it can't get any worse than this. Donald Trump, who is the United States president elect, has been trolling Justin Trudeau ever since he won. I mean, it's been that bad. It's been that bad to the point where people are having conversations about Canada actually becoming the 51st state. Now, when I say conversations, I mean trolling Donald Trump on Twitter, actually known now as X, and on his own platform, Truth Social. And the thing about that's crazy is that, it started off as a joke, and then he posted himself on a picture standing on mountains looking like it was in Canada with the Canadian flag. And now more posts are coming out talking about what it would actually mean for Canadians in regards to having your taxes cut, being able to actually utilize all the natural resources that are in Canada, having military protection. All of these things are now coming up. And yes, is it a joke? Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be a joke for much longer. I really don't. Now, will something like that ever happen? I don't think so. I doubt it. But over time, I actually do believe that you're going to be seeing an actual conversation about this. And a large part is because Justin Trudeau, as I mentioned, has absolutely lost complete control of this country. He barely has a 20% approval rating now in this country, which is, I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, that is terrible. That is terrible. And why? Why has he lost control of this country? Why is his approval rating so low in this country? I can tell you easily. Let's see some of the things that I have written down here. Taxes, including the famous carbon tax that we famously know of in this country, that is going to be doubling or tripling, by the way, making everything, especially our food prices, go up even more after people in this country, as of right now, are already struggling to pay for their damn groceries. How about the housing prices? Doubling, even tripling underneath Trudeau? Crime is through the roof in this country, not just in the GTA, but out west, Vancouver, Montreal, going back down the 401 East. This entire country has gone crazy in regards to crime. Immigration is another thing. Immigration might be the biggest thing on why people have lost faith in Justin Trudeau. 5 million people in a year's time whose visas are going to expire. Now, you tell me, how in the hell is this government supposed to take control and deport people who need to get deported when you've completely lost track of wherever the hell they are in this country? Please explain that to me. And then the job market on top of it. I mean,
come on now, dog. Come on, man.
You tell me what possessed Justin Trudeau to do these things, and then or cause these things to happen, and then him expect that he's actually going to be able to win another election in this country. I mean, talk about going far left. I mean, you have people who are kind of centered to the left, people who are kind of centered to the right. But this dude just got on the highway and just went as left as it can possibly go. And I mean in terms of everything I just mentioned. And all of those things that I mentioned are not necessarily going left, but I'm talking about when it comes to LGBTQ and the DEI and everything else in this country that has gone to, excuse my language, that has gone to shit. I mean, I'm not going to get too heavily into it, as I mentioned. This is supposed to be a light podcast as I get back into the flow. But damn, there's a lot that we got to talk about. And it just seems that things have gotten even worse and more confusing, specifically for him and the liberals. Now that President elect Donald Trump has threatened a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. I mean, damn. I don't think that'll happen because one of the things that Donald Trump wants to happen for Canada is for Canada to clean up its damn borders because there have been major issues in regards to the borders. Now, just not the Canadian border, the Mexican border, we've heard a lot about the Mexican border for years. We've heard a lot about the Mexican border for years, but Canada's border has been very quiet over the years. It has been very quiet. And I mean, it's been quiet to people in the public, not necessarily people who have been working for Canadian and American immigration. I'll tell you that much. Everyone's been focused on the 25% Trump trade tariffs instead of the reason provided. To date, the U.S. Border Patrol have stopped 358 suspects on the terror watch list from Canada. And this is according to an article on CBS News. Did you guys just hear that correctly? Did you guys just hear that correctly? 358 suspects on the terror watch list from Canada. And people are wondering why Donald Trump is pissed off about Canadians not controlling their border. That is insanity, folks. That is insanity. And so I've talked to you and I've mentioned to you a bunch of issues that are going on within Canada and things that we have to clean up. And damn it, they need to be cleaned up soon. Okay. Now, going forward on some of my episodes, before I get to this last topic, I want to talk to you about this word called culture. Because it seems like things are going to be changing around here. Not just here, probably all over the world. There's going to be a shift that's going to be taking place in this world, with a bunch of world leaders that are going to be changing in 2025, and that is going to have to do with the culture. So going forward, I'm going to be sharing my screen with you in regards to articles, probably videos, and all that kind of stuff as well, which I found out finally how to do. So that's going to be cool as well, that I can share the screen with you, get you to watch videos. You'll be able to hear audio and all that kind of stuff as well. Just keeping it simple for this first one here. But I am excited, man. I'm feeling pretty juiced up and excited. Glad to be back. So let me finish up here, folks. This word called culture. That's going to be a word that we're going to be hearing a lot. We're going to be touching on it a lot. What is that? What is Canadian culture? What is Black culture, white culture, whatever the hell you want to call it? What type of culture is producing the type of people and young people that we're seeing in this country as of right now? I'm not sure anymore. Like, what are we seeing at this point? This culture that we're seeing in regards to social media, this culture that we're talking about in regards to being divisive, the culture that we see in regards to the music that we're listening to, in regards to education, in regards to not being able to have productive conversations without just arguing, not even listening to each other. What are we getting at? What are we turning into as a society at this point? These are all questions to me that need to be answered. So I'm also interested in having a lot of different guests from a lot of different walks of life talking about different things, because we need to start getting to the root of just what the hell is going on and how things are going to change with some of the language that we're going to start using when certain people get into office in different countries, by the way. I'm telling you, things are going to be changing around here big time, folks. They really are. And I'm telling you, January and February, things might get ugly. It may not be pretty around here, especially in regards to the world of politics. Things are going to be getting crazy. So I suggest you put on your damn seatbelt and buckle the hell up, because it's going to get a little messy. It's going to get a little bit messy. And all I'm saying is just get ready. Get ready. It's going to get crazy around here, folks. At Mike Roach 7 on IG, at Mike Roach 23 on X. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, share, rate everything. The Mike Roach Podcast. I'm on Apple and I'm on Spotify. Okay, folks. So my first podcast back, it's good with the timing. I want to do it less than 40 minutes. I'm glad to be back. And you know what? I've never lost the passion for doing this. I've always been comfortable on a microphone, especially the last few years, you guys, for those of you who have been listening to me. But it is kind of different being on YouTube. But you know what? I do have the urge to speak about different things, as I've mentioned. And just starting off doing the podcast like this, I even feel better just getting some things off my chest that I want to talk about away from the sport of basketball and just sports overall in general. So I'm happy to do this. I'm happy to be back. It is your boy, Mike Roach. I'll see you again soon, and I'm out.